There are places in this world where the unexplained will suddenly become akin to comfort, allowing the bizarre to bleed into the atmosphere. Within the city of Jefferson, Texas, resides such a location in the form of a hotel that shares the city's name, in which the things that go bump in the night have begun to open doors, roam the halls, and reveal themselves. The question is why? Why is this happening? Having never been there, I can't answer that question. But on October 1st and 2nd, 50 of you will have the chance to join me for a weekend-long paranormal investigation at AGH Presents The Ghosts of the Jefferson Hotel. My friends, I am incredibly excited about this event. To those of you that have already purchased your tickets, thank you so much. I look forward to meeting you face to face in Jefferson, Texas. And for those of you who wish to join us at AGH Presents The Ghost of the Jefferson Hotel, VIP tickets are sold out and there's only 15 gold tickets left. But you can get your gold tickets while they last by clicking the ticket link, which I've posted below in the description box. Having said that, let's jump right into the In a Crowded Room podcast. Hey, what's up everybody? Chad Calek here, and welcome back to a very special episode of the In a Crowded Room podcast, which I'll get to in just a second. First, I just have a few things to share and a couple of thank yous to give. First and foremost, if you are interested in getting an autographed Sir No Face docuseries DVD set, which is Sir No Face, Two-Face the Grey, and Phantom Rider, we have a couple left. If you order before 6 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 3 o'clock out here, your order will go out the same day or your money back. I had a slight delay in getting orders out because I had to go do the Conjuring event, and Laura was helping me back here. But the good thing is we have somebody else that's doing it right now full time, so they're on it. So any kind of delay issues, will be solved. If you've ordered Phantom Rider over the course of the pandemic, there's a mountain of these things that are fixing to go out, so you'll have that in your mailbox soon. For all my lifetime DVD subscribers, I sent all your packages out, and there's something special in all of them as well. So if you do want an autographed Sir No Face docuseries DVD set, click the link in the description. It will take you to the ordering page. Having said that, I want to thank you guys for the overwhelming amount of questions that you sent in after the last Q&A episode. It's very clear that you guys want to hear more of my high school stories, which, man, do I have some doozies. But I'm going to save those for kind of a day when you don't always have the best ideas for podcasts, right? So anytime that it gets slow, I know that's something I can do. So I will do that in the future. And I do appreciate you guys writing in. Also, thank you for all the UFO submissions. Some pretty interesting ones. So I will get to that as well. And in general, just thank you guys for spreading the word about the podcast and just letting people know it's growing really quickly. A month or two ago, I told you guys that we were approaching 10K. Well, we've passed 10K. We're almost at 11,000, I think 200 or 300, 12 or 1,300 new followers in the last 4 to 6 weeks, which is pretty incredible. So I can't thank you guys enough for that. Also, some of you guys have requested that I get a Patreon. I will do that this week because half of my podcasts get demonetized for reasons that are beyond me. So that does help. And also to those of you who said, oh my God, Ted did 3 podcasts in a week. I have been extremely busy, but I just decided this is something that just needs to happen. I need to just build it into my schedule. So right now, I just woke up. I set an alarm for 3 a.m. so I can get up and do this. So that's how much I love you, man. I'm up at 3 a.m. So I will get the Patreon up, and look, I appreciate anything. So if you like the show and you feel like it's something you want to support, that would be very cool. So this episode is something that I wanted to release because not a lot of people saw this, or at least a lot of the people who follow me saw this. But when it comes to doing podcasts, I don't do a lot of them, and I do thank people for the requests, but the reason I don't typically do a lot of them is most of what I want to say about my films are in my films. I put a lot of time, effort, and energy into my movies, and typically, although there may be some things that are esoteric, but for the most part, I feel like, the movies say what I want to say. And I've seen people do a ton of podcasts and they're just kind of saying the same thing over and over again. And to be completely honest, I just don't have a lot of free time to do, an hour or 2-hour podcast. Typically, I'll just do like Coast to Coast, Fade to Black, and a couple others. Having said that, a good friend of mine, Josh Hurd, told me about this podcast he does called G Crew. And it's Johnny Hauser, another good friend of mine, Chad Lindberg, and Nick Groff, who I've known Nick for a while. Really cool guy, and I just met Chad Lindberg during this G Crew podcast, and he was a very nice guy, total sweetheart. So I was really stoked to do it just because, again, I'm friends with these guys, and when I was doing our event in Malvern, they said, hey, we'd love to have you on this. This is like 6 or 7 months old, which is kind of cool because it really is a time capsule as to what was going on at the height of the COVID-19 epidemic or pandemic, I should say, sorry. And it's just cool. And I talk a lot about the Sir No Face docuseries. So I don't want to ruin it for you guys, but it is, I thought, a fun podcast that I did with them. And the G Crew podcast, I believe, is behind a paywall, which I urge you guys to go join it. They were, again, amazing guys, and we had an amazing conversation. But for those of you who follow me and did not get a chance to see this behind the paywall, now that it's 6-7 months later, I just wanted to release this so you guys could hear what went down. It's an hour-long podcast, and I think you guys will really enjoy it. Here is my appearance on the G Crew podcast with Josh Hurd, Johnny Hauser, Chad Lindberg, and Nick Groff. Enjoy.
How you guys doing? Good?
Good, bro.
It doesn't even seem like Christmas or the holidays at all.
Who brought the Grinches in now?
I'm not feeling it at all, man.
It doesn't feel like anything.
I agree. It feels like another day, and I'm just like, why are people angry when they drive? Why do we have a trio?
Hauser with the fucking depression bomb, right?
What's up, Chad? How you
Is
doing?
everybody as miserable as Johnny?
Dude,
I'm just setting the bar right off the bat.
At this time of the year. I mean, doesn't it feel like that, though? Does it feel like that for you, Chad? Where it's just kind of like...
Yeah, but for different reasons, man. It's all about, I live here in Santa Monica, and, Skid Row has rolled from downtown right down to the beach, and it's unfortunately just a super difficult time for people, man.
Yeah.
And, I see it every day, I see it every day right outside, the window, and it's hard, So I would agree that right now things do seem pretty murky out here. But I don't know if it's that way across the country. I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think?
Definitely.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's, everyone's just, I don't know, there's like a little cloud a little dark cloud. And I'm ready for the new year. I think people just need to get back to the norm of doing everyday activities, doing everyday things, kind of like not being so paranoid or so. I mean, rightfully so, but I just think that there's so much in the brain right now that's working against everybody, to put the right foot in front of the other. So it's like all this stuff combined where we have to be in this lockdown still, and then we're in houses, and then you can't really get with families, and then some people do, some people don't, but it's just like a weird mirage that's happening that just doesn't seem surreal, It just seems like everything's kind of just floating.
It sucks. It feels like people like I don't think anybody knows what to do, man. We've never been here, you know, and I think there's a lot of that, a lot of just not knowing what to do, and it's rough, man. I mean, I lost my father in April. Unfortunately, he passed away. So this is my first holiday season, kind of like without him, and that alone would be difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
But having this stuff, going on, I mean, I just feel for other people who have lost parents and things like that, because the great thing about having a mother or a father, that home base, that no matter how hard things could get, you could always make that call home or spend time there, and that's been a difficult thing that I've had to deal with as far as not having pops around. And for those out there that are dealing with it, man, just know you're not alone with that. It's a tough thing, man. But and I mean this across the board, man. In every amount of darkness, there's always an ounce a bright light to look forward to, man. And doing things like this, fellowship, 4 dudes, sitting around on a computer talking. This is how we got to get through this stuff, man.
Yeah. I'm sorry for your loss, Chad. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
It's all good, man. It's all good. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, but you're right though. It's like coming together. Doesn't matter how hell of a day you've had or yesterday, whatever the past is. But I think it's about the moment we make it now, And you're right. I think this is great to vent out some of the emotions, some of the ideas, concepts, whatever we're working on, or hear from like really cool people like yourself about projects you're working on or things that get us passionate and want to keep driving forward in life, And I think that's what we need right now. We need this like companionship, of this, what we got.
Yeah, fellowship is key, man. I mean, think about this. My wife and I were talking about this the other night. In jail, when you get punished, they send you to a place where you can't go outside, you can't talk to anybody. In jail, they send you to the shoe, right? We're living the shoe.
Yeah.
We have the lockdown order. Like we can't go outside, we can't go talk to people, we can't. So that's why I think anything that promotes fellowship right now, in any capacity, is a good thing. And I think it's the reason why I saw you guys setting this G crew up when I was back at the manor last week. And, usually these type of things I don't feel compelled to go do. But it was weird. Like in that moment, I was like, dude, I feel jealous. Like I wanted to be, it's like, what are you guys doing? Can I do it? I don't know. Somebody else, I mean, and I really did. And it just made me kind of realize how important that fellowship is right now.
That's cool, man. Yeah, well, you're officially a G now.
Hell yeah.
There you go.
Hell yes.
Welcome on the G-Wagon. Yeah. Right. It's crazy. I mean, luckily, I've been training for this moment for 5 years on paranormal lockdown. I was just like, when this stuff hit, I'm like, oh, I got to stay in the house. So I'm like,
I'm straight.
Every other week. No, I hear you. It totally is. But tell us about you, man. What projects have you been working on, or what are you working on?
Yeah, it's crazy. Back in 2000, God, it was 15 now. I was on tour in Australia promoting my film that seems like forever ago now, called The Blood Red Sky. It was this film. Blood Red Sky kind of put psychokinetic energy and ability to the test. Then we went to England and Chillingham Castle. We did all these crazy experiments to try to see how much of this paranormal activity was in our mind. But while on tour in Australia over there, I met this guy, Craig Powell, who told me this mind-blowing story about how he was handpicked by the government and the Australian government, and they sent him out to Cockatoo Island at this former naval base, and he told me that he had caught footage of a full-body apparition, and he just told me these immense stories of the ability of this entity, whatever it was, right down to the fact that it could, like, on call, it could make rooms light up like a lightning bolt. And they called this thing Sir. They'd be like, "Sir, can we see your light?" And it would go poof, like on call, over and over again.
Wow.
To the point that they actually brought members of the Australian government out to experience it. It was just the tallest tale I had ever heard, paranormally speaking.
Yeah.
And I set out for a couple of years trying to prove him wrong, or I should say, try to debunk this footage, because I knew when I saw it, I had one or two things. I had one of the greatest paranormal stories that I've ever come across in the past 20 years of doing this, or the biggest, and most effective liar I've ever met. Either way, it makes for a great documentary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I can expose them, great. If not, great. And look, I found that it was the most incredible paranormal story I had ever come across. But something really interesting happened. After we made the first film, it was called Sir No Face. We did this big, 30-city U.S. tour, and it was great. It was packed. It was the biggest tour we'd ever done. We were doing about 1,000 people a night. And I thought for sure when I went out that whenever you boldly state, look, I have footage of a full body apparition, and I fully believe that's what this is, I expected to just get killed by people who are just, skeptics. And the weirdest thing happened is everybody had said to me, "You got it wrong. It's not a ghost. You guys filmed a gray alien."
Yeah.
And I was just like, what? And I looked at it, and there were a bunch of weird things that happened in the realm of ufology when we were filming it. But because the government told us told Greg that this was paranormal, our minds are looking at it through a paranormal lens, in the sense that we're thinking ghosts.
Right.
And, we just kept listening to people, and we kept showing up and doing interviews, and over and over and over again, everybody kept saying, "You got this wrong. I'm telling you, man, that you filmed, or Craig filmed this gray alien." And, we eventually decided to open the case back up and document that process, and then start kind of at the very beginning with through a UFO lens. And that ended up being the films Two-Face the Gray and Phantom Rider, in which once we did start doing that, man, things got weird, guys. And they're still weird. Yeah. That UFO that tree, that whole path is so weird. Including there's this guy that got a hold of me. He goes by the name of Daniel David Skyfall. Dare I say that's not his Christian name?
Yeah.
This guy has been unbelievable in his ability to predict what has happened, what was going to happen, and what is currently going down in this UFO realm, which we're all seeing almost, unfold in front of our eyes, So I've been heavily immersed in the UFO world over the last couple of years. And, man, where do you start there, it's crazy. But we just released, I was very fortunate enough, I released my first film, American Ghost Hunter, through Gravitas. It did very well, and they came back and wanted to do a larger deal. So we just signed a 5-picture deal with them, which is great. Awesome. And they just released Sir No Face, Two-Face, and Phantom Rider back to back to back.
Yeah. So
that's really what I've been up to in the last how many months? Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Congrats. Yeah, no, that's really cool. I love the story. It's super compelling. I remember seeing the trailer, and I was like, man, this is badass. It's the narrative is well told. Obviously, the editing is spot on. Everything is just great. Josh, Johnny, and I were speaking about this before we got on with you, but just how compelling it was, and I think Johnny, you were talking about the second part and everything.
Yeah. I ended up watching Sir No Face, and then it was 3 a.m, and I'm just cannot wait to start the next one. I was just glued to it the entire time. Then the next day I'm driving around, I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's a black Mercedes behind me. Everything was just a little weird after watching those.
Yeah, that's what one of the hardest things about that is there's legitimately weird shit that's happening, but you have to remain grounded or you go crazy, man. You know, and it's been the hardest process about all this is that I don't know what. Well, I think I do to some degree, but I don't know for sure what nerve we touched.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a nerve that's been touched because the stuff that was happening to me, if it was just me, then, I would go, maybe it's some just psycho fan or something or somebody that's just trying to make a mockery out of me. But the stuff that's going on with Craig simultaneously, is beyond the degree of harassment. I mean, it's, true watch yourself stuff. I mean, there's a reason why if you go look at Craig's Facebook page, he's checking in, and him and the family spend most of their time camping in the woods and going on these trips just to get away because he doesn't feel comfortable at home right now.
Man.
And that's real, guys. That's not, there's no funnel of cash that Craig's getting off these movies.
Right.
I mean, this is his real life, and he's really concerned, and with reason. It's a very bizarre story, and someone definitely did not like pieces of the story being out early, and it's crazy what we're still seeing going on with all this UFO stuff. I mean, in the midst of all the Trump and the back and forth presidency debacle. I mean, look, they just had another pilot comes out with another photo.
Yeah.
That he took. So, none of these things accidentally fall out, right? Like, there isn't any pilot sitting around going, today I'm going to accidentally contact the New York Times. You know what I mean? It's like these things are discussed at the Pentagon.
Yeah.
And they're choosing which stories and which photos, and none of it's accidental.
And it's accelerating, right? The amount of information. Yeah, it's accelerating.
Yeah, I mean, look, Mike Pence just had, in the middle of all this madness, not even knowing if he'll be around or not, in 20 days or whatever it is, Mike Pence just had this press conference on the Space Force to announce the logo and that they're now referred to as Guardians.
Right. Yes.
So, that stuff is continuing no matter who's in office. There's a through line, and these guys are following suit. Yeah. So we have to ask, why. You guys saw the Israeli story?
Yeah.
The Israeli defense minister that came out and basically said, he said a lot of the stuff that John Hillier said.
Yes.
From Canada is pretty much the same type of thing. So I don't know. What do you guys? I think something massive is coming, and I think it's coming down the pipe real soon. I don't think we're looking at 10, 20 years. I think we're looking at the next couple of years.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I think it's going to happen. I think we're getting ready to see something very significant. And we've talked, this is so, I mean, we talk about this all the time here. We love it on G Crew.
Yeah.
But can people handle it? What do you think, Chad? Do you think people can handle it?
Oh, man, I don't know. Half the time people can't handle Monday Night Football, man.
Exactly.
It's look, here's the thing. I think smart people can, and I think to a degree there's going to be people that freak out and just... Look, the biggest thing that it does damage to, and not that I think it does damage to, but the argument will be, is that it does religious damage.
Exactly.
That's what it does. Yep. If there was a big, spoon, right in the middle of all the religious talk. And I think highly religious people, right or left, I think the churches are going to have a difficulty with it. But I don't know. I think your average intelligent person is going to be fascinated, you know? I've heard the argument all the time, oh, well, we better not hope we meet aliens because, they're going to, snap their fingers and blip and we're all dead. But I think the thing to remember with that is you're assuming that if there's another species that it's like us.
Exactly.
That it even views things as the same value. You know what I mean? So I don't think, I think once we get past the fear of it's going to, destroy us all, I think, God, what a crazy, exciting time that'll be. I mean,
I know.
But they're definitely preparing us, man. They're definitely preparing us right now.
I think the exact same thing. Like, we're being like conditioned, right? Slowly but surely conditioned. I mean, what was it, 2 or maybe 3 years ago now? The Vatican came out and publicly stated, like their astrology department came out and stated, "Don't be shocked if we are eventually visited by something." I'm like, okay, number one, the best PR move you could possibly fucking make, right? Because everybody thinks like, oh yeah, if we know definitively that aliens exist, what does that do to organized religion? Does it crumble and fall or whatever? But it's interesting, man.
See, I always thought that we were like for sure ready at this point until COVID hit.
No shit.
And the toilet paper and
The
the
toilet
You're
paper.
right about that, Johnny. You're so right.
It's like, I don't think, I thought we were far ahead of what we are, but obviously we're not. Or maybe that's just what we're being shown by a certain select, Maybe that's not well, it is everywhere because I can't find toilet paper, so.
Can't find the shit tickets anywhere.
Yeah, I mean,
I
look
know
how
that we're now. I kept thinking, man, is this the concern? Everyone's worried about having a shitty butt. Like that was the
I know, right? I know.
Like, man, I don't know.
So.
I guess
Because you can control that. Like, you can actually control wiping your ass. So I think that's like something like people are like, I can control this.
Yeah.
Humans are weird like that. You're right. Yeah, it's definitely a flaw. It's like if you believe you can control one tiny little aspect of the scenario, you think you're in control of the big picture.
Totally.
And you're not. Yeah,
Yeah.
But, I mean, it really doesn't matter if we're ready or not. Like, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
We're just going to have to get used to it and be ready.
And that's kind of the best way. I'm a big fan of, you want to learn how to swim, chuck someone's ass in the pool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they'll figure it out.
Right.
And I think that's how it's. I think for a while that's kind of how it's going to be, where we're going to have to, is it scary? What are they going to do? What won't they do? Look, I'm sure it will be, but I just think that, gosh, man, that is truly exciting to think that there's another species that has traveled here, is watching us. I mean, just
Been here.
Yeah.
Been
Well,
here.
and I also think that it's not just in the military stuff. Look, everything. Look, all the richest guys in the world right now, they all want to do one thing. They want to build a rocket and fly to Mars.
Yeah.
They all want off this planet. They all want to get to where they're going. They all want space exploration. They all want to make us a multi-planetary. I mean, it's just like, this is what all the richest people do, And there was a time where all the richest people didn't do that. That's not what was going on. So why is that going on right now?
True.
The one thing we've learned throughout the last, I think, in the last 5 years, if not 10, is that, the people that have the top information, they don't share it. And that's why bits and pieces get leaked. I said this on my podcast. I said, the one thing the last couple of years has taught me too is I'm waiting for a conspiracy theory that I know of to not be true.
Yeah.
Because, like the first time I saw the JFK footage, the Bruder film, I was like, oh yeah, he got shot. That multiple gunfire, right? Multiple people shot him. That's what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you hear, no, you're crazy, you're stupid, that's retarded, that's ridiculous. And then like all the notes come out and the CIA secret files, and it turns out, yeah, that's what happened. Multiple guys shot him. Like, okay, I thought so. So it wasn't just Oswald. And then, I remember a long time ago hearing about Epstein, and this Lolita Express and this island. And I'm thinking, okay, sure. That there's all these guys are flying to this island to screw all these young girls, and Bill Clinton's on there. And turns out that's exactly what was happening. And then, 9/11, it's like, oh, come on, it was an inside job. And then turns out that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
It's like, I need one of these conspiracy theories not to be true sometimes. So I feel like I have something to even fucking argue anymore.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, it gets to the point now where I'm starting to treat people that don't believe in conspiracy theories the way we used to treat conspiracy theorists. I was like, oh, you don't believe, oh, you're an idiot. Sorry. Yeah, like that's where it's getting, man. It's just like, is there a base on Mars already? Yeah, if I had to put money on it, fuck, I'd say yes. Probably is. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to argue this shit because you keep finding out that all these things are real.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time you say, "Oh yeah, all these rich people get together in the woods in California and they burn a child in effigy and they pray to Moloch," and then you find out again that shit really happens.
Right. Right.
It really happens, man. So what do you know about the world and what don't you know?
Something.
Man.
It's wild, man. It's wild.
It's the world we live in. It's vast. Like, the thing is that I was really fascinated about, I watched this new Netflix, what was it, like, I don't know, episodic series where they're breaking down the world, and I think it was Aliens or something like that. Maybe it was called Aliens in Life or something. But they're saying that every star, I guess they're finding, somebody had this groundbreaking footage years ago where they discovered another planet that looks like our planet within another solar system outside of ours.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're saying that, did you? And now they're saying that they found 4,000 planets that look like ours. Now what they're saying is, and that's each and every single star, each and every single other solar system, right? So now they're doubling it and saying that there has to be at least a trillion planets that are like ours. If you do the math, you start breaking it down just based on the way that the telescope and everything that they're because you can't see a planet like ours, trillions of light years away. You see the planet when it becomes a shadow in front of the sun, and that's how they're spotting them when they're crossing in front of the sun. You see that that shadow of the planet. So that's how they start picking them up. I think that's pretty epic. And if we're sitting here saying, okay, trillion other planets like ours, that there's no possible way to be life forms that's highly intelligent or more evolved than us or younger species or whatever it is, there has to be something, right?
Man.
Well, I just saw, like, in the last 2 months, they discovered 9 more planets, and the closest one, like, to us was only 400,000 light years away.
Yeah.
And also, oh, by the way, there's life on Venus. What? You know what I mean? The thing that in the upper atmospheres of Venus, that it's actually the temperature and the oxygen content and all that was like perfect for life for life to exist. And they actually now believe that there could be these aerial forms of life form that exist on Venus. And it was just so funny because you guys remember back in the news where anybody would bring up anything about life elsewhere or aliens, it would be do to make fun of them. Tinfoil hat, you know what I mean? Like, and now suddenly, every week it's like, oh yeah, there's a new planet here. Over your shoulder, there's 9 new planets there. What?
Yeah.
Like I used to think that we were like 9 planets, and then really far away that we could never reach them was all this other stuff. And then now, if you were growing up in today's world, think how different it would be if you were a child today versus when we were coming up in school.
Oh yeah.
Even just a few years ago, when Tom DeLonge did the To the Stars Academy, everybody's like, "Oh, that dude is completely off his rocker."
Yep.
And now, I mean, just in a couple years' time, it's been that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
That's wild. So let me ask you guys: what do you think it is? Why now? Why now? What do you think is going on?
So, like, me personally, like, I think, like, with the introduction of, like, Space Force and all that shit, like, they say, like, oh, the primary objective is to, like, keep our satellites and shit like that safe, like, our information safe. I get that. There's something else, man. There's something else. There's something way bigger than that. That's just me.
I think that we've been in contact for a while and just held in the dark, but now it's reaching ahead for some reason to where the government's like, okay, some shit's about to happen, so we need to, like, ease people into this because it's coming down quick.
God.
For whatever reason, I don't know, but maybe because we're just fucking things up so bad.
Well, yeah.
Dad, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's because we as a human race are going to fucking kill each other if we don't get our shit together. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, like people are losing their shit over a fucking piece of cloth, like over their mouth. Like it's not good. Like we're not as far as long as we thought, and I think they've been here for millions of years. I think aliens are here to fucking help us from killing each other. I think, and I think it's accelerated now, and I think it's go time. I don't know. I'm with you, Chad. I think we're gonna see something really, really, really soon.
Really big.
Yeah, I don't
And
know.
big, yeah.
I think there's something deeper happening that's out of our subconscious of like really knowing what it is. I think we see things as is and we try to place stuff in a box because it makes us feel comfortable, you know, as human beings. And if there's no hierarchy of financials or income or stability with humans and we're not in control of our own whatever it is destiny, then we lose control, right? So if we can't be in control, we lose control in a weird way. And I think the human race always has to evolve in order to grow to become something greater as a higher intelligence, and that's been the dawn of mankind and people. And I just think that we're getting to a point where all of this is being more of aware, and I think we've been observed for so long, and maybe we're just like a test. We're just like a test subjects, you know. We were put here. Kind of like Interstellar, we're just this like placed humankind that has evolved, and they need something to evolve their race or whatever it is, species or higher intelligence, and we're evolving, man. I just think that what's going to happen is it's like anything, right? When you have any experiment, anything, you get rid of a lot of like the excess nonsense, and then whatever it is that's in power, like maybe some of the greatest minds or somebody that has something that others don't. Maybe these people evolve, these people go on. This is kind of like a place to build that hierarchy for whatever the next step is. It's just weird to me. The whole thing's weird. I think we just.
I'm with you on that, but I do think that there is. Well, put it this way: if there is a physical reason, I thought, and I've given this a lot of thought, and I've kicked it back and forth with Skyfall quite a bit to get his thoughts. Look, the one thing we know, okay, historically speaking, the people that are in the know, removing myself, talking to other people that claim to be in the know, all seem to be on board with the fact that they've been here for a while, and they're watching.
Sure.
Okay, everybody seems to agree with that. The one thing that we know that's on record, and that's in multiple countries, is that these things have shut down nuclear silos.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
They appeared by and large at the dawn of the nuclear revolution, and that was seemingly an issue. Well, this makes sense to me because if I'm another species and I'm watching another species, if I'm helping them develop, if I'm just watching them, if I'm observing, my point of caring about them to the degree that it affects my world is, can they kill me?
Right.
All right. Now, I think we're at the point of our own technology where we are about to become travelers.
Yeah.
We are about to rip through the cosmos.
Yep.
And if we're ripping through the cosmos with nukes, we are a fucking threat to everyone.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that is a big reason why this is all happening, is because we finally had a genius mind like Elon, you know, or even Bezos to a degree, that punched through, and you know, they are on the brink of doing with humanity what's never been done before that we know of in history, which is, you know, to traverse the universe. And I think that's very wise to assume that if there is a species that's beyond us, they're going to have a great interest in whether or not we could kill people beyond ourselves.
Well, that's always been like my thought too.
I really think there's something to do with that.
Like
nuclear proliferation that's going on right now.
Yeah. Because I mean, we shoot first and we ask questions later.
Yeah, oh, big time. Yeah, I mean, look, historically speaking, look at what we've done every time we've saw them. Look, I live here. This is the Battle of Los Angeles right here. This beach right in front of me. We saw something in the sky. What did we do? We shot first.
Correct.
And that's what we do always. You know, throughout history, there's been 5 times that we've attacked things that we didn't know what they were. We just shoot at them. And, you know, I think to a degree, if there's a race that's watching us, shooting at one or two things is, that's different than having a weapon that can, the planet-killing weapons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now the question is, what is that intervention? If they come back, or my question is, what does that intervention look like? I mean, is it going to be primarily technological? Because this, I think, goes back to what Nick was saying. I think it wouldn't be enough to just say, we're going to take away your big guns. Because now we're going to just try to learn how to make them in secret. We're going to try to learn how to, there would have to be something spiritual, some kind of spiritual growth that would have to occur to get our race, our species, to the point where we start realizing it's bad to kill each other. We don't need to do this.
Right.
That's the biggest fucking jump I see. Take away our weapons, one, but then teach us, how to stop just fucking ass punching each other and killing, our own race at ungodly levels for basically things like paper and oil and weird, if I was an alien, I would be so confused. I'd be watching us going, so they kill each other for paper?
Yeah.
This oily stuff? That's why they kill each other?
Exactly. Yeah.
Not very smart, are they? You know what I mean? I would be looking at us like we are idiots,
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, that's why I was really confused watching Aliens and Cowboys, and the alien, part two of that, the middle act turns into, the aliens are here because they want the gold, and they don't have the gold. They look at gold as rare as we look at gold. I was like, what is happening? So come on, that's the problem though. Is Hollywood turns into that, and then we think dumb ideas. But I think there's something deeper. You're absolutely right. There's something deeper happening. It's time.
Yeah.
And I also think that I think too I remember seeing something talking about, I think it was one of those old videos where a UFO comes flying down, it disarms the test nuke they were testing. Remember that rocket they shot? You see the UFO
the tip of it flew around, right? Yeah.
There's been a lot of cases like that. A lot of cases like you were talking about at nuclear places where they come in, they zap the warehouse or they zap certain things. And now what's interesting is you start studying when a nuclear bomb goes off, it's not just a bomb, right? It ripple affects the environment, it ripple affects the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have multiple nukes, you have multiple these things happening, missiles and whatnot, it's going to go beyond, outside of our atmosphere. It's going to enter space, it's going to ripple effect through space, it's going to be like a ripple effect. I think it affects other planets, is my understanding, from the vibrations or whatever the wavelength is, when I was listening to the study beyond the science of breaking it down. But I think maybe there's a possibility where it's affecting maybe their planet or them being integrated into our species or whatever the case is. I think that it's affecting everybody, not just us, everybody.
Well, a fundamental principle of science is energy cannot be created or destroyed, it can only be transferred, right?
Yep.
So in the early or the late 1940s, that's when the waves of UFOs began. That's also when nuclear testing began. Before it was said and done, the U.S. alone set off 3,000 nuclear weapons.
Jesus.
We tested over 3,000, I think 3,006 is what it was, which is mind-blowing. I mean, we had to stop testing like Bikini Atoll and all the atolls because there was no land left.
Wow.
We had blown it out of the ocean.
Wow.
And we're like, well, can't test here anymore. So, I mean, it's really, and so it's not surprising to me that at the same time that if energy cannot be created or destroyed and only transferred, then the energy of 3,000 nuclear weapons is ripping through space in the early 40s, which if there's any intelligent life form out there, I think at the very least they would swing by to say, what's going on here?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely, man. I mean,
you brought up a great point though. What happens if it's the study of transforming energy, like transferring energy, like from one body to the next, or the subconscious and electricity and everything that we produce, through our lives and the information that we collect and build into this conscious brain. The brain is the most powerful thing in the human body. So what happens if they're trying to evolve this brain for something greater? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe they want this transfer or learn how to be like this godlike figure. You know what I mean? They can just take these brains and move it to something. I don't know, man. I get into the whole Simpson. The whole Simpson.
Yeah, listen, like I said, my whole second film, Blood Red Sky, was about psychokinetic ability. And when we go to haunted locations, are we creating what we're experiencing? It doesn't make it any less paranormal to me. If our minds are creating, images, personalities, things moving, things flying, like that is incredibly fascinating. And there's a number of cases throughout time where we've seen psychokinetic ability in play in the medical field, where people have massive tumors in their chest this big, stage 4 cancer, and 3 months later they're gone, and there's not. This happened in Phoenix. 3 months later the tumor's gone. There's not an ounce of cancer in their body, and all they did was pray and laid hands on themselves to heal themselves.
Yep.
Like the only explanation for this is the power of the mind, the ability to actually do that, and that's been demonstrated a number of times throughout history where there's been faith healing and things that really genuinely happen. The same thing with supernatural strength, where people demonstrate. You've heard the stories of there's a wreck.
Cars,
Right. Now, this has truly happened throughout time.
Yeah.
I read a long book when I was studying the Blood Red Sky that was all about these types of events. And they are real, and they do occur, and they don't understand them. And I think that, kind of back to your point is, we don't understand the mind. I wasn't surprised at all when, Dr. Stephen Greer said basically, I believe the way to contact, alien life forms and to bring them to us is through the subconscious mind.
Yeah.
That's how we would speak to them, and that's how we would communicate with them. And also, there's a lot of people that believe that's how travel as far as bending space and time occurs, because human beings, basically, we don't understand that consciousness is it's basically a I'm trying to think of words to explain this. It's a dimension. Like consciousness is a dimension.
Yeah.
And if we can control, our conscious thought and our subconscious thought simultaneously, then we can control what's real and what's not. And that is a fascinating thought to me. And that goes back to I think that's, you were saying, Nick, about the idea that if they're coming here, they're going to communicate, that there's going to be something spiritually or something that they will teach us. I think it's going to be more than, hey guys, nukes are bad, so we're going to take them away. That doesn't. You know what I mean?
Official.
That's like, well, we would go, oh, okay, cool. As soon as they turn around, make more nukes. I mean, that's all that would happen. Unless something happens to allow us this faith and belief that we can accomplish great things without the threat of great power used against somebody.
Right.
And that's always been a parallel issue with human beings, is that to accomplish great things, we have this natural tendency to believe that there has to be great power or a great threat driving that great thing.
Right.
Yeah.
There doesn't have to be.
Exactly.
But how do you get people on board with that? I don't know.
Right.
I think they just need to experience it. Until you can experience it, it just becomes another conspiracy talking point or whatever, or I don't believe, or I believe, or whatever it is. It's until someone actually experiences it, that's when it hits home. I think gets deep.
Take him on the old Travis Walton Express.
Exactly, bro. Yeah. Oh man, this conversation can just go on and on down the rabbit hole. I love it.
Man.
This is what it's about, though, is thinking outside the box, and we got to start looking at things a little bit differently if we're going to evolve. Totally, can't keep being around it.
Well,
So,
look at Elon. Elon's a perfect example of that, right?
Exactly.
Elon Musk just does not think the same.
Yeah.
And look, I mean, it doesn't take much either, man. When you get 2 or 3 guys that are on some whole other shit and they're committed,
Yep. With a lot
Great
of money.
things.
A lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, he put $100 million of his own money into that whole project, SpaceX or whatever. But he also, what was he saying? Oh yeah, they were talking to him, and he's like, I didn't know anything about physics. I don't,
Yeah.
I just knew what I wanted to accomplish, and I surround myself with great people, and he worked his ass off. So I think it's like it goes for anything. It's exactly what it is. It goes for anything. Like you worked years on your project, Chad, and we all kind of like dive into our own projects. But you're right, man. It's interesting how everything kind of just unfolds recently, more so than in the past. I just think there's something in a wave coming, and we're feeling it, we're seeing it. So
I think the key to that is passion, man. Whether it's all of us have done our own things, right, to some degree.
yeah,
It really doesn't. None of us. I'm going to guess that none of us woke up one day and said, "Man, I hope one day I can just hold a bunch of money." Like that's not fucking inspiring.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But can I wake up one day and create something that alters, someone's life, starting with one person up to however many? We've all heard the statement so many times, if I could just change one life, then I know I did. That's true, man. There's real power to that. If you can change one person's life, then you now believe you can maybe change two.
Yeah.
And if you can do two, it could go great. And I've noticed that with a lot of these great thinkers, like Elon Musk, there's this great interview, you got to watch this. He's talking with this Australian television personality, and they're basically explaining to him how Australia doesn't have enough electricity, and how people are paying ridiculous amounts to pipe in enough electricity to like microwave a fucking a small dinner, right? And at the end of it, Elon is basically saying, "Well, we can fix this through battery technology." And he gets to the very end, and they're throwing up all the different problems there are. He stops, he looks at the camera, and he's like, this is really going on here? And she like explains to him, yeah, man, this is crazy. People are going without meals to have light.
right.
Yeah. And his eyes fill up with tears, and the dude looks like he's fixing to bawl, and he just stops and he's like, then we're going to do better.
Damn.
You can see in that moment, that's why Elon Musk shit is awesome.
Yeah.
Not because he wants to be rich, because he gives a shit. And I think that's the key to anything special throughout time. It all comes back to that same place of, do you really care?
Exactly.
Do you really care about what you're doing?
Dude, you just
if you
nailed
do,
it.
no one can stop you, man. I'm a firm believer of that.
You nailed it, and that's the greatest point. Like, if you have that passion, that drive, you can accomplish anything to a certain extent, right? Anything, physically and mentally, to a certain extent.
Totally agree.
So it's like Elon just reached a height in his career. We had all this money, all this financial stability in some sense, right? And he said, you know what? I want to revolutionize. I want to go deeper. I want to go farther. Not just make another company, not just like schmooze around the rest of my life. The guy's set, right? No, he wants to accomplish something that he's remembered, like Einstein accomplished or Tesla accomplished. Like that's kind of what the wavelength I've been on personally. Like, I don't want to just do another paranormal show. Like I get asked all the time, like casted and this and that. I'm like, I don't get fucking casted. I want to do passion projects, bro. I want to do shit that's going to move me, because my life is short. All of our lives are short in these little human bodies. So it's like, I want to accomplish big things, and I respect people like that. When we think deeper like this, and we like, let's accomplish something great that ripple affects this universe for not just like whatever it impacts it in, but like more of a positive too, like something that's going to grow or evolve the humanity, or like even the next generation or the kid, whatever it is. It just needs to be better and greater, and not just so sinister and empowering, and like we lose track of materialistic things,
And I totally agree, man. I mean, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who works out here, and he's a film financier guy, and we were talking about just the paranormal, and he was kind of talking about my path throughout all this. And I said, dude, I think I've been on 5 or 6 shows now, and I've done 6 features that are released. And when I think back about it, even like doing Paranormal State, which I did 6 seasons of that, and at the height of it, it was like big as shit, right? and it was fun, and it was totally cool. But I can honestly say, all of my own pictures, I had a better time making. I had a blast. I cared about them more. They affected people. The people that they did affect, they affected them in a longer lasting way. And when I look back at, like, you know, was it Paranormal City or the Ghost Prophecy or whatever these shows were, it's not that I didn't, you know, it's not that I hated it. Right? I'm not the enemy of the system or anything, right. But there is a degree of passion that you could reach where it's just not wanted in the studio system. Right. Like, they want you to want to do it to the degree that you'll do it their way. Yeah. And then when the second you express, hey, this is what I need to make me care about this more, to make this better, to do things that are, it's like, if that ruffles the basket of dollars, then you're a fucking problem. And that's been my problem throughout, like, you know, studio stuff. It's just that I enjoy caring about the project more than the money. Yeah. Right. You know, I enjoy that so much more. And I think the second you work on a true passion project, you instantly get that. Anybody I know who's ever worked on a project gets that. Right. You know, why is Elon still working when he's worth $134 billion? Because he doesn't care about money anymore. Yeah, exactly. You know, he doesn't care anymore. And look, I understand we all got to keep a light over our head. So to some degree, I'm a realist. Yeah. But, like, yeah, I think, you know, doing a show, like, if I were to do another show, it would have to be something that just sounds fun as hell, and I love the people doing it. And that's what it comes down to, not the money at all.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? Exactly. And so, yeah, I get it, man. Totally. Yeah,
I love it. Man, it's a pleasure talking to you, honestly. It's been great talking to you, man. I love this conversation. I needed this. I think we all
well, no, it's so true. It's you know, I'll bring this up. I got offered to do a show last year, and you know, I don't want to, the second I say what it is, then it's going to sound bad towards this person, and I don't want to do that. But what I will say is
naked
this.
Ghost hunting? Was it naked ghost hunting? Bad joke. All right, now go on.
Well, it was just one of those things where it was good money. They were going to offer me pretty decent cash to do it. And it was a last-second thing where I turned it down, and the second I did, I felt so bad for stressing over the answer, because the second I gave the answer, I felt so good. I was just like, God, that was so fucking wrong. I'm so glad I just sidestepped this bomb of a project. It ended up being just a gutter piece of shit project too. And I was like, God, thank God I'm not involved with that. And it just goes back to the same place, man. If you're wondering if you're on the right project, you're on the wrong project.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean? You'll know, you know?
It's all about the principle, too. It comes down to, man, you really believe in what you're doing right now. Because at the end of the day, like, you walk away with your integrity in who you are, and that's going to be your face with whatever it's on, or your name with whatever it's on. So yeah, I'd rather be remembered, man. I think all of us would. I'd rather be remembered as something great, that resonates something in a passion project, rather than a clown running around. Removed for 5 minutes, you know.
Yeah, no, most definitely, man, most definitely. I mean, when I do my tours and stuff, I mean, I still have people that come up to me about American Ghost Hunter, and that documentary was made 10 years ago. Yeah, and I'm just like, wow, man, there are people that are still just now catching this. You know what I mean? And it's that is worth anything that I've done with studios or things like that, you know? Yeah. So yeah, it's and what I love about where the industry is going right now, you know, I'll tell you who's on the dinosaur list, all studios. Yep. Like, this shit is going so independent at a breakneck speed that they can't even deal with right now. Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's why we got, it's a totally different world, but like, look, like do you guys realize the magnitude of, like, Logan Paul is fighting Floyd Mayweather? What the hell? Okay? That's how much strength this kid has by having his own platform.
Yeah, YouTube. Yeah,
that's incredible. You know? I mean, so studios, like, there was a time where I would get excited when they would call it. Now, it's one of those things where it's like, well, what do they want? You know what I mean?
Right,
and,
right.
and not in a bad way, but just like I'm just as excited about my own stuff,
Yeah.
and where it's going, those who can control their own narrative and who can make their own projects and can promote them and can reach people, they hold all the cards, man. They hold all the cards. You know?
Who wants 5 other people telling us what to do after we've already done it, and we know what we're doing, but they just have to keep their job, so they just kind of put in their 2 cents. Nobody wants that. It gets old.
Well, and the money and salaries that are offered to do these shows are so insulting.
I know.
Crazy.
They are.
Jesus, yeah. That's. I don't want to like.
Yeah, I mean, even today, I mean, like maybe like 15 years ago or something, standards and whatnot. Cool. I got my start into the cable world doing everything. I filmed my own thing. I was on it. I just everything, and it's just like when you're doing everything. But I was young too. You know what I mean? I was grindy. I was like a filmmaker. I was hungry, and over time, like. It gets redundant to the point where, okay, things get stacked, but it gets boring. Like 10 seasons later, it's like, how else can we make this better? How can we evolve this?
Yeah. My favorite comment from the studios is, the money doesn't come from the show. It comes from the other things. The show is your commercial. And I'm like, but how are you getting your money?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And last time I checked, you're getting a shitload of it.
Oh, yeah.
So why is this guy getting $500 today? Is that shit legal? You know what I mean? It's like, so it is very, very repetitive, and it's across the board too. And the thing is, once you figured it out, like the whole system and how it works. It's such a liberating thing, and you see the way it all works, and we've all done it. We've all done shows, or either had our shows or been a part of shows that existed. Or Johnny, I think you've been on like more shows than more shows. Like Johnny set the record for guest appearances. I love it.
Endless IMDb over there for Johnny.
But my very first was American Ghost Hunter.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that.
That matters to me. That's awesome.
Hell yeah.
That was a fun day, yeah.
That was when Hauser still had the baby beard.
The little boy band pin strap going on.
That was before he went all duck commander. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, man. Great conversation, man. Well, let's do this again, dude. I love the deep thinking. Keep doing what you're doing. You're killing it. And nothing but love, dude. Like, I wish you all the best. And, man, you're a G, so let's G's get together.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate it. And, like I said, when I saw the boxes and Josh doing his thing, I wanted to come play in your sandbox.
Anytime, brother.
Anytime.
I appreciate you guys making the offer, and I thank you for the fellowship, man. Be strong. We'll do it again for sure. I would love to come back. 2021, let's do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds good.
All right, buddy. Take
much
care.
love, my friends.
Thank you, brother.
All right, we'll see you later, man.
See you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Oh, man. I love it, man. I love when we can get into like a simple start of a conversation. It always feels like basic, like, hey, man, how you doing, this and that. Like, it always starts off like, what have you done?
Yeah.
Tell us about your past. But then it's like, all right, we got all that out of the way. Now, like, we get into deep conversations.
I love that shit.
I don't even think of some of the stuff we talk about sometimes. And
Just
now
go.
I'm thinking about
It just does it. Yeah, it just the natural progression of a conversation like that. I love that shit, especially with like-minded individuals. It's great.
Exactly.
Yeah, open-minded.
Good.
It's like, just be open-minded. Like, not so quick to be like, no, but X, Y, and Z doesn't line up with that, so how could that be possible? Fuck possibility. There's no more possibility in a world that's so vast.
And what I love about, like, I've known Chad for fucking ever, and he does no podcast ever. Like, unless it's like a huge thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the fact that he wanted to come on G Crew is just like, that's a cool thing for us. Like, dude, we're killing it.
Yeah, he's a
people
cool guy.
want to buy. Yeah,
He says no to everything. Like that's his
amazing.
thing.
Well,
That's pretty cool.
that's the power of the G, John.
That's
That's
right.
it.
Power of the G.
Power of the G spot.
Or you know who has us all fooled is Mitch.
I
Mitch
was
has us all
just
fooled.
gonna say that.
I think Mitch is playing all of us humans, and he's like,
I love you, boys.
Yeah, I love you too, Mitch.
Yeah, we
Well,
love
okay,
you.
so what if
Such a
all this alien stuff is happening, and Mitch is the spokesperson? So he wanted to choose a badass podcast to do his, and that was G Crew.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well
I wouldn't
played,
doubt it.
well played, my Mitch.
my
Yeah,
Mitch.
My Mitch.
My Mitch.
Yeah, my mitten Mitch.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
My mitten Mitch.
All right, fellas. Well, let's keep this discussion going into outer space, and maybe we close our eyes tonight into the nighttime, and we let our conscious thoughts drift into our 13 dimensions that we create, or somewhat, and then we just evolve. And tomorrow I wake up and I feel good again. Jesus.
Perfect.
Hell yeah.
All right. See y'all.
All right, gentlemen.
And there you go, my friends. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If I do these more in the future, I will try to do a double release on this channel as well. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. Again, super cool guys. And, you know, at that time especially, it felt really cool to just have that fellowship, man. Because back then, nobody was seeing anybody. I was on lockdown in the house. It was really, really weird. So it was a lot of fun. I've been invited back at some point, which will be great. And when that happens, I would be more than happy to do a double release on this channel as well. Having said that, thank you guys for listening to the In a Crowded Room podcast. I will be back tomorrow with more. All the best.